What keeps a human being alive when everything else is stripped away? When freedom, family, food, and even hope are gone? Why do some people, even in the darkest suffering, hold on while others collapse into despair? This is not just a story from history. It's a mirror held up to your own life. Because someday, you too will face moments where meaning feels lost, and the question will whisper inside you, what am I living for? And that's exactly where Viktor Frankl begins his timeless book, Man's Search for Meaning. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Mindset HubTube, the space where we don't just read books, we explore what they teach us about being human. Here, we dive deep into stories that remind us that no matter how dark life gets, there's always a spark of meaning waiting to be found. Today we're exploring one of the most soul-stirring and life-changing books ever written, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. It's not just a book, it's a testament to human resilience, written by a man who lived through the unthinkable, a man who found purpose in pain and hope in horror. So take a deep breath, because this journey isn't about suffering, it's about discovering the reason to live through it. Let's begin. When Viktor Frankl wrote Man's Search for Meaning, he had just survived 4 Nazi concentration camps, including Auschwitz, where he lost almost everything: his parents, his brother, his wife, his freedom. But what he didn't lose was his inner sense of purpose. And that, he realized, was the thin, invisible line between life and death. Frankl was not just a prisoner. Before the war, he was a psychiatrist, deeply curious about the mind's power to endure suffering. Inside the camps, he became both a witness and a scientist of the human spirit. He watched men who had the same hunger, the same cold, and the same despair. Yet some of them survived longer not because they were stronger physically, but because they had something worth living for. He called this idea logotherapy. It means that our deepest drive as human beings is not pleasure, as Freud said, or power, as Adler believed, but meaning. When life loses meaning, we die inside long before our body does. But when we find meaning, even in pain, we rise again. When Viktor Frankl entered the concentration camp, everything he owned, clothes, papers, family photos, even the manuscript of his life's work, was taken from him. The guards stripped the prisoners not only of their belongings, but also of their identities. You were no longer a person, you were a number tattooed on your skin. And yet, Frankl began to see something powerful. Even when everything external is taken away, there remains one freedom no one can touch: the freedom to choose your attitude. He observed that life in a concentration camp passed through 3 psychological phases, and each phase revealed how meaning could either die or survive. The first stage began the moment prisoners arrived. The human mind cannot comprehend that it has entered hell, so it protects itself with shock, disbelief, and numbness. Frankl describes how, even when prisoners saw the smoke rising from the crematoriums, their minds refused to accept reality. They told themselves, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe we'll be treated as workers. But soon, hope collapsed under brutal truth. The daily experience was designed to erase individuality. Heads shaved, names replaced with numbers, everything dictated by commands and whistles. Even emotions began to fade. A person could see beatings, even deaths, and feel nothing. This numbness wasn't cruelty, it was psychological survival. The mind shut down emotions it could not bear. Frankl realized something crucial here. A person can get used to anything, even the unimaginable, if they must. But this adaptation came at a cost. Many prisoners lost their inner sense of self. He asked, "How can you keep your soul alive when your world becomes unrecognizable?" After the initial shock faded, prisoners entered the second stage, apathy. Apathy meant the mind's self-defense mechanism had taken over completely. Imagine waking up each day hungry, cold, and uncertain if you'll live till evening. Over time, emotions dull, compassion disappears. You stop caring about others because caring hurts. Frankl observed that many prisoners lost their inner light during this stage. They would lie in their bunks, staring blankly, waiting for the end. He described this as a kind of living death. But then, he also saw the difference between those who gave up and those who endured. It wasn't strength or luck. It was meaning. He wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how." This quote, originally from Nietzsche, became the heartbeat of Frankl's philosophy. If you had something or someone waiting for you outside the camp, a mission, a loved one, a purpose, you found reasons to keep breathing through the pain. The third stage came after liberation, but freedom didn't bring joy right away. When the camps were finally liberated, prisoners didn't run out celebrating. They walked out, slowly, uncertain if it was real. Many felt empty, even lost. Frankl realized that suffering had shaped them so deeply that normal life now felt foreign. Some couldn't feel happiness anymore. Others carried guilt for surviving while others died. Freedom, too, demanded meaning. Because even after escaping the camp's fences, a person without purpose could still remain imprisoned inside their own mind. One of Frankl's most powerful realizations was that everything can be taken from a person, except one thing: the last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Inside the camps, he saw people who, despite hunger and humiliation, chose kindness. Some gave away their last piece of bread. Some offered a comforting word to a dying stranger. That, Frankl wrote, was true freedom, the freedom of the spirit. Even in absolute suffering, you could still decide who you would be. This became the foundation of logotherapy, the idea that our main human drive is to find meaning, not pleasure or power. After liberation, when Viktor Frankl returned to Vienna, he discovered that his entire family, his parents, brother, and wife, had been murdered in the camps. He had lost everything that once defined his world. Yet, somehow, instead of falling into despair, he transformed his grief into purpose. He sat down and began to rebuild the book that had been taken from him, the one he had written before the war about finding meaning in life. That book became Man's Search for Meaning. The word logotherapy comes from the Greek word logos, meaning reason, meaning, or purpose. Unlike Freud, who said humans are driven by pleasure, and Adler, who said we're driven by power, Frankl believed that the deepest human motivation is the search for meaning. He saw that people could survive almost any suffering as long as they could see meaning in it. But without meaning, even comfort, wealth, or success could feel empty. Frankl's philosophy was simple yet revolutionary. Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by the lack of meaning and purpose. Frankl explained that meaning can be found in 3 distinct ways, and every person has access to them, no matter their situation. 1. By creating work or doing a deed. We find purpose when we create something valuable, whether it's a project, a piece of art, a business, or an act of service. Our actions give our lives structure. Frankl said that meaning is discovered through contribution. Even in the camps, he noticed prisoners who focused on tasks such as helping others, writing secretly, or mentally rebuilding their lost work, survived longer. Their mind had a mission, and that kept their spirit alive. 2. By experiencing something or someone. Meaning can also come through love, beauty, or connection. Frankl often survived days of hunger and exhaustion by imagining his wife's face, talking to her in his mind, holding her presence as his source of strength. He wrote, "Love is the only way to grasp another human being in the innermost core of his personality. Through love, we transcend suffering because it connects us to something greater than pain. Even when someone is gone, their memory continues to give our life direction." 3. By the attitude we take towards suffering. This is the most profound path and the hardest one. Frankl said that even when you cannot change your situation, you can still choose your attitude toward it. That choice gives your suffering meaning. If you face pain with courage, dignity, or purpose, your suffering transforms into a form of achievement. It becomes your moral victory. He saw this in prisoners who comforted others, shared their last crumbs of bread, or prayed silently while enduring torture. Their humanity could not be destroyed because they gave their suffering a reason. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. This line became one of the most quoted truths of the 20th century. Frankl emphasized that meaning is not something universal or fixed. It is personal and momentary. No one else can tell you what your life's meaning is. You must discover it in your own experiences, relationships, and challenges. Just like no two people suffer the same way, no two people find meaning in the same place. For one person, it may be love. For another, art or service. For another, endurance in tragedy. The key is to respond to life's question instead of expecting life to answer yours. Frankl said, "Don't ask what you expect from life. Ask what life expects from you." That's the heart of man's search for meaning, turning the question inside out. Instead of waiting for life to give you purpose, you give purpose to life by the way you live it. After the war, Frankl returned to treating patients, and he noticed something alarming. Even in peace and prosperity, many people felt empty, directionless, and anxious. He called this the existential vacuum. It's what happens when a person loses meaning, when they chase pleasure, success, or distractions instead of purpose. People today often say they feel bored, tired, or lost, and Frankl warned that this isn't a small problem. He said that the lack of meaning is the real sickness of modern civilization. We have comfort, but no direction, entertainment, but no fulfillment, technology, but no inner peace. Logotherapy, he believed, was the medicine for this emptiness. It helps people rediscover their why, the thing that gives their suffering shape and their joy depth. Frankl taught that freedom alone is not enough. It must be combined with responsibility. He even said that if America has a Statue of Liberty on the East Coast, it should also have a Statue of Responsibility on the West Coast. Because true freedom isn't doing whatever you want, it's choosing what is right, even when it's hard. Responsibility gives freedom direction. It's what turns chaos into meaning.
Viktor Frankl didn't just write about the horrors of the Holocaust. He gave humanity a new way to live. His experiences weren't only a tragedy. They were a laboratory of the human soul. From the depths of suffering, he extracted principles that can guide anyone, in any time, in any situation. Even though the world today is free from the concentration camps of the past, many people live inside mental prisons, trapped by anxiety, confusion, or a lack of purpose. That's why Frankl's message remains timeless. Because the question hasn't changed. How do we find meaning in life, no matter what we face? Let's break down Frankl's key lessons that can transform the way we think, work, and live. Frankl explained that pain is part of life. It's something none of us can escape. But what transforms pain into suffering is our resistance to it. When we stop fighting the pain and instead search for meaning inside it, we grow stronger. He used a simple formula to explain this. Suffering equals pain times resistance. When resistance decreases, suffering decreases too. When meaning increases, pain becomes bearable. Think of how many people have turned personal loss into purpose. A parent who starts a foundation after losing a child, or a survivor who helps others heal. They don't erase pain, they redeem it. Frankl wrote, "In some ways, suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds meaning." That's why even in your darkest moments, the question isn't, "Why me?" It's, "What is life asking of me now?" Frankl believed that life never stops asking us questions, even in small moments. When you wake up in the morning, go to work, care for a loved one, or make a hard decision, you're answering life's question with your actions.
The mistake most people make is searching for one grand purpose, like a single answer to life. Frankl said meaning isn't a fixed destination, it's something you create, moment by moment, through your choices. Every decision, no matter how small, can reflect purpose. Choosing kindness over anger, doing work with integrity, facing difficulty with grace, helping someone without expecting a reward. Meaning is not what you find in the end, it's what you create along the way. To Frankl, love wasn't just an emotion, it was a way of seeing the truth of another person. Even in the camps, when he was starved and exhausted, he often thought of his wife. He didn't know if she was alive or dead, but in his heart, she lived. Her image gave him strength to endure one more day. He wrote, "The salvation of man is through love and in love." That means love gives meaning to life, not because it guarantees happiness, but because it opens your heart to something larger than yourself. Love gives suffering a reason. It makes courage possible. It gives even death dignity. Frankl said that even in the absence of the person you love, the act of loving remains meaningful, because love transforms the lover, not just the beloved. Modern life often confuses happiness with meaning. We chase comfort, wealth, likes, and status, but all of these fade. Frankl warned that when pleasure becomes our goal, emptiness follows. Real meaning comes from responsibility, from carrying something or someone that matters to you. When you take responsibility, you rise above yourself. He used to tell his patients, "Don't aim at success. The more you aim at it, the more you will miss it. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensue as the unintended side effect of one's dedication to a cause greater than oneself." So instead of asking, "How can I be happy?" ask, "What responsibility am I willing to carry?" Because responsibility gives life structure, and structure gives life meaning. Even in the camp, Frankl realized something extraordinary. A man to be stripped of everything, food, shelter, dignity,
and still remain free inside. This inner freedom is your last human right, the right to choose your response. No matter what happens to you, you still decide. Will I be bitter or better? Will I give up or will I grow? That's why Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Most people react automatically to life, but meaning is found in that space, where we pause and choose who we want to be. Every person faces pain, but not every person turns pain into purpose. Frankl did. He didn't just survive the Holocaust, he transformed it into a philosophy that helped millions heal. He believed that the way we handle suffering defines our humanity. If you meet pain with courage, your suffering becomes your achievement. It becomes your testimony to life itself. He wrote, "What man actually needs is not a tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling for a worthwhile goal. We grow through struggle. Meaning doesn't remove pain, it makes it worth enduring."
Frankl saw many prisoners die not from hunger or cold, but from loss of hope. When a man gave up believing there was something still waiting for him, he deteriorated quickly. That's why Frankl called hope not a luxury, but a responsibility. He said that each of us has a moral duty to keep hope alive, not only for ourselves, but for others. Because when one person stands tall in the darkness, others find the courage to stand too. Hope multiplies. And that's why this book, born out of unimaginable despair, became a message of radiant faith and humanity. Viktor Frankl's life was a living proof that the human spirit is stronger than suffering. He lost everything, his family, his freedom, his home, yet he emerged with a truth so powerful that it continues to heal lives across generations. His message is simple but life-changing. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. And in that response, in that choice, lies your meaning. Today, our struggles may look different. We're not living in concentration camps, but many are trapped in emotional prisons of anxiety, loneliness, self-doubt, and meaninglessness. We have more comfort than any generation before us, yet more people feel lost and empty. Frankl called this the existential vacuum, a world where people know how to live, but not why. We fill our days with noise, but silence scares us. We chase happiness but forget purpose. That's why man's search for meaning is more relevant now than ever. Because the question hasn't changed. It still asks, what makes your life worth living? Frankl's philosophy isn't about avoiding pain or chasing joy. It's about finding purpose in whatever happens, even when it's not what you planned. He believed every life has meaning, even the hardest one, because meaning isn't given by circumstances, it's created by the human heart. No situation is meaningless if you bring courage, love, and responsibility into it. Every time you choose integrity when no one's watching, stand strong when it would be easier to give up, forgive when hate feels justified, you prove that meaning is not found, it's made. That's the victory of the spirit. Frankl wrote, "The meaning of life differs from man to man, from day to day, and from hour to hour. What matters, therefore, is not the meaning of life in general, but the specific meaning of a person's life at a given moment." So, instead of searching endlessly for one grand life purpose, focus on the next meaningful choice. Ask yourself, what is life asking of me right now? How can I respond with purpose, not fear? And slowly, piece by piece, you'll find that meaning was never missing. It was waiting to be noticed in the small, quiet acts of courage and love. Since its publication in 1946, Man's Search for Meaning has sold over 16 million copies, translated into dozens of languages, and continues to be one of the most influential books in psychology and philosophy. It's read by soldiers, survivors, entrepreneurs, students, anyone facing difficulty. Because Frankl reminds us that life isn't about avoiding suffering, but rising through it. He turned his pain into purpose, his trauma into teaching, and his despair into direction for humanity. That's why this book isn't just about history, it's a manual for the soul. And every person who reads it walks away changed. Even in the darkest night, meaning is the one light that never goes out. Viktor Frankl showed us that no pain, no loss, and no suffering can destroy the part of you that chooses, the part that loves, hopes, and creates purpose. So if you're going through something heavy right now, remember this: you don't need to escape your pain to grow. You just need to give it meaning. This was man's search for meaning, one of the most powerful lessons in human history. If it touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a little hope today. And if you believe, like we do, that mindset can truly change the world, then don't forget to subscribe to Mindset Hub Tube, hit the bell icon so you never miss an inspiring story, and leave a comment below sharing what this book meant to you. Your words might inspire someone else to find their purpose too, because purpose isn't something you find someday, it's something you live today. Thank you for watching. Take care, stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next video.